This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by Bonney-Watson.
Everybody, it's a decision that has to be made at one of the most difficult times in life, planning a funeral or a memorial service for a loved one who has passed away. For nearly 150 years, Bonney-Watson has helped families through that process of planning ceremonies that honor and celebrate lives. Bonney-Watson President Cameron Smock is here with more. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is something we all face, and it's incredibly important to have a good partner in this. You guys have been in business for how long?
Almost 145 years.
And you have been, I think, the oldest continuously run business in Seattle?
We are. We're the oldest. Once the demise of the PI, we became the oldest continuing business.
And you don't get to be that without providing good service. What do you pride yourself on?
Well, we pride ourselves on, we're a family-owned company, and so we pride ourselves on being able to deliver that level of service that is truly unique for each family that we are able to serve.
Right. It's something I learned in researching this that I didn't know, is that the majority of people in the Seattle area choose cremation.
Correct.
What's behind that? Do we know?
Well, I think there's a couple things. If you look at the population of Seattle, because of the outdoors and the nature and those sorts of things, we have a very highly unchurched population. And because of some of the employers in town, we have a highly educated, very affluent population. And those folks tend to want things in a more simple way.
Mm-hmm. And one of your representatives mentioned that many people move here from someplace else, so they may not have a family plot or a place where relatives are buried, so they don't have an attachment to that.
Exactly. They've moved away from their family traditions.
And speaking of moving away from traditions, people have different ways of celebrating life now, which I really love the idea of. I mean, I'm quite sure that we've all thought about this from time to time. I certainly would want my family to celebrate the good times and the laughter and the positive things that we shared. What are people doing these days to memorialize a life?
Well, one of the things that's really happening today is there's no norm. Families are no longer forced to do something that may not fit with their unique family stories. So really, sky is the limit. And literally outdoors as well as indoors, we can have any venue that the family wants. Some families are very informal, some are more traditional. And so one of the pleasures of working with families is we have a full range of services that we can offer, and no two families are alike.
So that it's personal and it really does fit. Give me some examples of some of the things people have done.
Well, I remember a couple years ago I helped two ladies that were in their 60s and their mother had died. And she took up golf in her 50s, and as it turned out, became quite a proficient golfer, had, I think, over 5 hole-in-ones. And so when the mom died, they wanted to do something to honor her golf passion. And so we had the service on her favorite golf course. The last hole-in-one she made was in her 80s, and so we actually had the service on the tee where she drove, and then we went to the green where the ball went in the hole, and we actually scattered some of her cremated remains on the adjacent area, and then they went back to the clubhouse for a nice reception.
And so what do you find that does for a family when instead of, sort of the normal thing that we see on television, they do something that is really specific to their loved one and something that provides some joy and comfort?
Well, really, it connects them with their loved one, I think, in a more meaningful way. And those that attend as well, they're able to see that this was a life that was lived fully, and they're able to honor it in that way, in a very unique way, and I think it adds more meaning to all who participate.
Well, as somebody who's lost my parents, I thank you for that, because that really is, that's so important. It's something that you never forget, and you want it to symbolize the kind of joy and love that you felt for the person that you've lost. You need that. But there's also the truth that grief can transcend these things and last for a while. There are grief support services that are available if people need an extra hand, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're unique in that we have an on-staff person who helps families with different grief-related programs. We have grief groups that we host in our funeral homes, as well as working with families on a one-on-one basis and doing sorts of activities, fellowship sorts of activities, visiting Tillicum Village and so forth. And the people that participate find that being able to kind of share their grief with others who have gone through a similar experience helps them deal with it.
Yes, of course. And we have a couple of members of a support group with us today. Hi, thank you for being here. And one final question. Why is it so important to have a memorial service and to think about this before you pass so that your family knows what you'd like?
I think the biggest reason is that there's a natural part of us that grieves when someone dies. And if there isn't some sort of way to come together as family and friends and share in that, there's a hole that's left with you. And so I feel very strongly that it doesn't matter necessarily where you have the ritual, but that you have a ritual and that you allow people to come together as a community and support you at a very natural time.
And if you let your family know ahead of time, then they have your blessing for that. That helps a lot too.
Absolutely.
That helps a lot too. Okay, I'm going to give this some thought because I think it should be, for me, I want a party. I want it to be happy. And I thank you for helping families because it is a tough time. And when you're there and you listen and you pay attention and make it personal, it makes all the difference in the world. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You can find more information on our website about Bonney-Watson services, plus tips to help in the advanced planning process, as well as grief counseling and support groups. We'll be right back.
Hurt in a car accident? Call